Most grocery budgets fail before anyone enters the store. The number is either copied from somebody else, guessed from memory, or cut so aggressively that it never had a chance to work. In this video, we are going to build a realistic grocery budget from actual spending, turn the monthly number into useful weekly and shopping trip targets, and walk through a sample month. The goal is not to create the lowest grocery budget. The goal is to create a number your household can actually use. A useful grocery budget answers 3 different questions. How much can we spend for the full month? Are we moving through that money at a reasonable pace? And what can we safely spend on the next trip? A single monthly number answers only the first question. That is why a budget can look fine on the first day of the month and still feel useless when you are standing in the store 2 weeks later. First, decide what belongs inside your grocery number. Food and drinks from the grocery store are obvious. But what about paper products, cleaning supplies, diapers, pet food, or toiletries? There is no single correct answer. You may include them with groceries or track them separately. What matters is consistency. If detergent is included 1 month and excluded the next, the comparison becomes misleading. For this example, groceries include food only. Household supplies have their own category. Next, look backward before setting the new target. Our sample family spent $1,040, $1,110, and $1,060 during the last 3 normal months. That averages to $1,070. Use at least 4 to 8 weeks when possible, and remove a truly unusual event only if you can explain why it will not repeat. Do not erase every expensive trip just because you dislike the total. We need an honest starting point. With an average of $1,070, this family chooses a first target of $1,000. That is about a 6.5% reduction. It requires attention, but it does not require pretending that food suddenly costs half as much. A family currently spending $1,200 is unlikely to succeed by forcing the budget to $650 next month. Start with a target that creates progress without making the entire plan collapse. Now reserve a small buffer. 5 to 10% is a useful starting range. In our example, $100 of the $1,000 budget stays unassigned, leaving $900 as the working grocery target. The buffer is not extra spending money. It is protection against a price change, a forgotten ingredient, an extra milk and bread run, or a month with 5 shopping weekends instead of 4. The $900 working target is about $208 per week. It is $450 twice a month, about $415 every 2 weeks, and roughly $30 per day. These are different views of the same money, not separate amounts to add together. Choose the view that matches how your household gets paid and shops. The weekly pace is especially helpful because it reveals. Suppose this household expects 6 grocery trips during the month. $900 divided by 6 gives an average trip target of $150. That does not mean every receipt must equal $150. A restocking trip might cost $220 while a fill-in trip costs $80. The average creates a reference point, not a rule that ignores how people actually shop. Now let us move through the sample month. The first large trip costs $225. A fill-in trip costs $68, and the next trip costs $142. The household has spent $435 from the $900 working amount. That leaves $465 for 3 expected trips, or an average of $155 per remaining trip. The $100 buffer is still untouched. This is the information that helps before the next cart is filled. If the remaining trip number starts falling, adjust while you still have choices. Plan the next trip before shopping. Build a few dinners around food already at home. Delay a large pantry restock, or use the buffer only for a real need. The purpose is not guilt. It is visibility. A grocery budget works best when it helps you make a smaller correction in the middle of the month instead of discovering a large problem at the end. At the end of the month, compare the target with what actually happened. If $1,000 was consistently too tight even after thoughtful shopping, raise the number and adjust another category. If the plan worked with room left, keep the target or move the extra toward another goal. a realistic budget is allowed to change. The best grocery number is the one that becomes more accurate as your household uses it. The complete system is simple. Define what counts. Find your honest starting average. Choose a reachable target. Reserve a buffer. Break the working amount into weekly and trip-level views. Then track what remains and adjust before the month gets away from you. That turns a grocery budget from a number on paper into a decision-making tool. If you like this method but do not want to keep recalculating the remaining balance, Grocery Envelope was built for that specific job. You set the grocery amount, manually record each purchase, and the app updates what remains and your spending pace. There is no bank connection, and you stay in control of what gets entered. You can also plan the next trip against the money that is actually available. To see the real screens, features, and complete details, visit everydollargrows.com/grocery envelope app. Start with the number your household is using now, and make the next month a little clearer than the last. For the free grocery budgeting tools and more information about Grocery Envelope, visit everydollargrows.com/grocery envelope app.